I used to admire most a melody and all it could do with love and words. I used to admire most a poet who, with a pen, untangled this world into verse. I used to admire all that I thought profound. I plagiarized the prophets and the saints. Oh, but now that I'm older, oh, it's mercy that I admire most. I waited out my low youth for a fathom spectacle, line snaking round coliseums. I marched in the drench under fame's softest clenched, and I paid hard-earned money just to see 'em. Oh, but now that I'm older, oh, it's mercy that I admire most. I admire the pure of heart that will one thing. I admire the steady in their routine. I admire decision and the mind that endures it, and those who speak though they be shamed. I admire the reckless voices for the voiceless, and the man standing in the path of tanks. Oh, but now that I'm older, oh, it's mercy that I admire most. Oh, it's mercy
Good morning. I very much hope you're doing okay today. Thanks for joining us here in our virtual sanctuary. I hope you'll relax into this time together and maybe make some comments in the chat as it goes by so you can interact with one another. This is All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in Shreveport, and we are a congregation that gathers around covenant rather than creed. We don't have to think alike to love alike. So whoever you are, whatever your age, race, origin, orientation, background, status, ability, identity, if you care to be here with us, you're welcome. To that end, we endeavor to treat respectfully people with differing paths and opinions. It's not easy, but it is our challenge and it is our covenant. I would like to invite our education director, Ms. Susan Caldwell, to share some announcements with us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Reverend Barbara, and thank all of you for being with us this morning. We really appreciate having you here. A few announcements. We have adult religious education every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. All are welcome to attend. Our congregation has ratified the 8th principle of Unitarian Universalism, which is about dismantling racism and creating beloved community. So along those lines, we have been doing work that involves reading particular books, watching a number of videos. Most recently, we've dealt with racial disparities in healthcare. And we're just looking at this issue from all sorts of angles, and all are welcome anytime you care to join us. We have several opportunities to gather online. We have Zoom lunch on Wednesdays, which is very informal. Just, bring your lunch or don't as you prefer, and just kind of meet with us and check in so that we get to know how you're doing. We have a similar thing late on Friday nights at 10 p.m., late night at the Salty Chalice. It's kind of our just, it's our pub, it's our coffee house, it's whatever you want it to be, but it's just to kind of check in at the end of the week for those who want to. Reverend Barbara has what we call a pod, which is just a similar informal gathering on Monday evenings at 6 p.m. And I think links for all of those. And I apologize, by the way, for some of the difficulties you've had with some of the links that have come in the MailChimp emails. We're just starting to print those links out. It's not as pretty, but the links are more effective, and hopefully they work. In children and youth religious education, I am trying to meet with parents and just figure out what is going to be most supportive for you and your family, something that's going to be helpful for you. We are looking at possibly toward the end of October or November, maybe some safely distanced gatherings for children and youth and for families. And we'll let you know more about that as we continue to watch the COVID numbers and continue to kind of deliberate on this. But we miss seeing you in person, and we do want to try and do that as safely as possible. I believe that may be all that I have. I know there's probably something else that I'm not thinking of, but I think that is all I have for right now. Thank you.
So if we were able to meet in person, Thank you, incidentally, Ms. Susan. If we were able to meet in person here at the sanctuary, today would be the service during which we have our litany of forgiveness and what has for a few years been a burning ritual. We weren't able to do that last year, and this year is going to be a little bit more like last year than the years before. But since we are still only together through the wonders of technology, in a while, after Larry Andros does our meditation, you will have time to find a pen or other writing implement and something on which to write, whether bathroom tissue that can then be flushed away, or the back of a postage stamp that can be then affixed to a letter and sent away, or some flat noodles that can be cooked away, or a scrap of paper that can be burned safely or responsibly in a fireplace or hibachi or a barbecue pit. You'll have a chance to gather those tools. There will be a musical piece after Larry's meditation. That's one we often do during the season of Yom Kippur, which was just this past week. And it's the Litany of Forgiveness that I mentioned just a second ago. It has the chorus, "We forgive ourselves and each other." If you've been around the church for a while, you've probably heard it. We begin again in love. Of course, you can use your own discretion regarding when to get your tools and what to write and how you will dispose of it for release. That timing is just a suggestion. Once you have your paper or noodle, take a bit of time to write down what you might need to forgive yourself for, or be forgiven for. Write down what you might need to find forgiveness toward another for. You can write down things that you need to release that are constricting your heart, mind, or spirit, keeping you in knots. Burdens, worries, grudges, resentments, fear, shame, defensiveness, anger, doubt, skepticism, hurt, anything that may once have been necessary or had a good reason to be there, but that no longer serves a positive and productive purpose. For now, all of that's a little bit later. But for now, let's catch our breath and relax into being right here, where we are. Take one or two nice, deep breaths. Relax your shoulders. Invite love in. We gather together to face ourselves honestly, to forgive ourselves gently, to love one another fervently. Come in. Come into this shared space and time, which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and are called to be. Come into this shared space and time where we can heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this shared space and time where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Together, we make it a holy place. I am delighted to invite the Nixick family to do the first part of our chalice lighting this morning. Natalie, Aubrey, will you help us out?
We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. We care for the earth. Together with mind, hands, and heart. We care for the earth and for each other.
Thank you. You did great. I forgot more of it than anybody else. We have a new piece to that chalice light. All right. Thank you. We light our chalice, symbol of our faith for truth, sought through a questioning heart and an attentive mind, for love, pursued through obstacles inside and outside our own human heart, and for forgiveness, the place where truth and love meet and merge. We light this chalice remembering Yom Kippur was this week, the Jewish Day of Atonement. May this flame call us to search our souls, sifting through the past year to see where we have missed the mark. May its light guide us toward the courageous and open-hearted apology, toward repair of relationships in our lives. May its heat warm our hearts to offer forgiveness to those who have wronged us, allowing us to release the chains of grudge and blame that have bound us to them. And may its strength help us take the actions that are within our power to make this next year more just, more loving, and more peaceful for our communities and for all of humanity. I would like to ask those delightful young ladies' father, Steve Nixick, to lead us in our unison affirmation, and I encourage you to maybe rise in body or spirit and say it with us as you're comfortable, please.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Thank you, Steve. Steve is also one of our board members currently, and we thank him for that commitment and involvement. This is a song you know if you've been around Unitarian circles much at all, I think. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hard night.
Good morning again. I like that new accompaniment for that, Reverend Barbara. That was great. I want to talk to you this morning a little bit about a practice called kintsugi. Kintsugi is the ancient Japanese art of repairing broken pottery and ceramics like plates and teacups. Kintsugi is a special art form that requires a lot of training and care to do it well, and I want to show you some pictures. So what happens is the artisan will use gold leaf to highlight the beauty of the imperfections that remain when a broken item has been repaired. And so anybody that sees this object is reminded forever that the item was once broken, and yet it is now beautiful. And we learn from kintsugi how to be better Unitarian Universalists, how to be better people, really. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't hide that we have made mistakes in our relationships, whether that is our relationships with our family, or our friends, or our fellow church members, or whether that has been in our history as a predominantly white denomination that often benefited from the same systems of oppression that we publicly opposed. We repair our mistakes with love, with real apologies that begin with "I'm sorry I," or "I'm sorry we," and not "I'm sorry you," and meaningful forgiveness, and by returning to our covenant. We remember that our relationships are more beautiful once we have acknowledged hurt, asked for forgiveness, or granted forgiveness, as the case may be, corrected our mistakes, and made a sacred promise to do better in the future. When we have learned to heal our relationships in love and beauty, each one of us and our church and our community and our world will be more beautiful than before. Thanks.
Good morning. For today's meditation, let yourself find a comfortable position where your body can be balanced and your spine straight. Begin with a deep, comfortable breath, shifting your attention to your heart space. And imagine breathing in and out of your heart. Allow your breath to deepen and slow. Allow your breath to be soft and kind. We begin today's meditation with a quote from the Sufi poet Rumi. He says, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense." As you center in this space of presence, reflect. I have spent too much time in the cramped space of struggle. I have hoarded painful memories that I now fear to release. I have been caught by stories of judgment and mistrust. I no longer see clearly the eyes of those I love. Held by the past, I can no longer dance my life with freedom and joy. To breathe new life, I must leave behind that old familiar territory of right and wrong, good and bad, and enter the uncharted territory of the heart. With the wisdom of the heart, I will see my world with new eyes. Where I saw separation, I will see the oneness I share with all life. Where I saw blame, I will see with mercy human lives still unripe in their efforts to learn and grow. Where I have held the closed fist of self-judgment, I now offer myself and others the open hand of kindness and compassion. I will relax and trust the open space of heart. It is here that I will heal and be made whole. It is here that the vision of a world more beautiful shall be restored. It is here that beloved community will celebrate its boundless potential. It is here that I will learn of love, and it is from here that I will forgive. In this vast space of sacred presence, I now center in my breath. Breathing in, I touch the limitless horizons of the open heart. Breathing out, I bring that open heart with healing and forgiveness to every being I encounter.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Miss Susan. Thank you, the people that put that nice rendition of We Begin Again in Love together. I hope you've had a minute to go get something to write on and with. And I really do hope that just like you would if we were sitting here together, you write some things down. Think about it a little bit. And be ready to open up, make more room for life in your life. The co-founder and editor-in-chief of Daily Ohm, Madison Taylor, wrote, "Trees need their protective bark to enable the delicate process of growth and renewal to unfold without threat. Likewise, we must have our boundaries and defenses so that the more vulnerable parts of ourselves can safely heal and unfold. But our growth also depends upon our ability to soften, loosen, and discard boundaries and defenses that we no longer need. It is often the case in life that structures we put in place to help us grow eventually become constricting." Last week during our worship service, we talked about Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, the celebration of the birth of the world and the creation story, the story of the Garden of Eden, humanity's responsibility for the earth, and to the resonance that from which life has come. For staying tuned to that and caring for all of it, we used apples to mark the significance and potential of healing, because apples are thought to have healing properties. And then we used honey for potential sweetness in the coming year, a little added sweetness to what we already know or have. Then this past Wednesday evening and Thursday to Thursday evening was Yom Kippur. And that's when the Jewish community celebrate the closing again of the book of life that has been open for 10 days with the capacity to change your fate by making amends to people, by becoming reconciled. It wraps up the Jewish High Holy Days. It was the season of Teshuvah, the Hebrew term that stands for repentance. And repentance literally means to return. This implies that our natural ways inevitably lead us away from that resonance and relationship with the earth and with all that is. We do well to intentionally set aside time to reflect, return, and atone. We play with that word around here and a lot of other places. Atone or at one, atonement or at one-ment, becoming reconciled and reconnected to the things that we have walled ourselves off from. Repairing relationships, just like the kintsugi example paints for us. It's our time to get right with brother, sister, sibling humans, with the rhythm and flow of nature, reality, the cosmic dance, back in harmony with ourselves. How far over the last year have we drifted from being on course with who we want to be, how we want to be in this world, in our relationships and in our life? For Unitarian Universalists, to be holy means to be whole. To be one with ourselves, to be one with all people and one with the earth, all wrapped in that from which life has sprung. The spirit of life in which we live and move and have our being, the spirit of life that moves in us and through us and among us. We are perpetually learning how literally we are all connected, one organism. Our sacred duty to love one another, respect one another, and to care for one another is one and the same with our responsibility for Earth, for our children's children's children. I was always a tomboy, or that's what they called it back when I was a kid. I think it's carried through pretty apparently into my adulthood. But this past week, I was at a hair salon that's frequented pretty much exclusively by older women. And I was sitting in one part of the room, and across the room, there was a woman who remarked that the Bible says it's wrong for women to dress like men. Now, I grew up in a very conservative church, and I had heard all kinds of things that were abominations, including eating shrimp, crawfish, crab, and catfish because they don't have fins and scales, or touching the skins of unclean animals, which would make a football an abomination. But, and it just so happened that the woman whose chair she was in was the mother of someone I had been in a band with years ago. And she began to point out things that I think would frame me in a different light for that woman. She started mentioning that I had grown up with her son, and that that I was the minister at a church, and all of that said, growing up in the conservative church that I grew up in, that particular citation from the biblical narrative was not one that I had heard. Go figure. I wondered if I had heard it, whether it would have made any difference in how I felt about myself all these years. I admit that while there have certainly been critical people, hurtful at times, comments, circumstances, and prices for my self-expression, I have had the uncommon good fortune to also enjoy kindnesses, defenders, and allies. But what might I have been compelled to hide away from myself and others if something like that was drilled into my head? I know that it has been for a lot of people. What we paint of ourselves in the world around us, I would have to say a good percentage of the time is not the whole picture. Trying to watch news yesterday morning because I was curious what was going to happen at the Capitol, I came across a show that I haven't watched before. It was Smirkanish. He was doing a piece on teen emotional well-being and Instagram. The stats were rather disturbing. The implications were that since 2012, when half of Americans had cell phones, teen depression and suicide have skyrocketed. In large measure, traceable to social media, and in some instances that he was commenting on, because it was internal figures from Facebook, traceable to Instagram. There are 22 million teens who frequently use Instagram, and only 5 million that frequently use Facebook. But on Instagram, he cited a case, and you may have heard of it, with Gabby Petito, I believe her name was. She was 22, and she was posting all of these beautiful things, going to scenic places with her fiance and showing themselves having a wonderful time doing all kinds of things, hiking and preparing meals and just laughing and playing and having fun. But he also talked about that behind the scenes, particularly in Moab, Utah, the police had been called because they were creating a public disturbance, fighting. But that piece of the puzzle wasn't put on Instagram, as were all of the other beautiful images. Because of things like that, people are constantly comparing themselves to something that is not the whole picture in other people's lives and expecting their lives to measure up. That kind of expectation is harmful. We are critical of ourselves. Some of us are absolutely adept at being our own worst critics. Yes, there are people who miss a lot about themselves, and that's what we're here for each other for, to help us learn the things that we are blind to. But because we're so hard on ourselves, there are things that we hide away. We can lie to ourselves about those things. I don't know how long I may have been lying to myself about how much alcohol I consumed at one point. There are things that we hide from ourselves. There are things that we hide from others. And it's letting those open. It's letting the air in and forgiving ourselves. Finding it from that place to forgive others, because we can't fully forgive others if we can't forgive ourselves. Letting go, clearing away, shedding the outgrown shells that may have been there for a good reason once upon a time. Softening the edges to allow for expanding more fully into our own true natures. Making room for more life is tikkun olam, repairing the world. I hope you've taken some time to write down things that you encountered that encumber you and constrict what could possibly, potentially be your peaceful, open, and joyful self. Like in Kintsugi, the brokenness may be the crack where the light gets in, like Leonard Cohen says, or where the golden lacquer settles to make your most beautiful parts. Fill in the gaping wounds that can't heal when they are shut off. We've had t-shirts here at All Souls for a good while that Melissa Gibson designed. They say, all of who you are is sacred. All of who you are is welcome. All of who you are is worthy of love. Every bit of it. Including from yourself. Take a little time today to make more room in your life for life. If you know any of the following song, please sing along with it. And thank you.
It's for everyone. Everyone's worthy of love. Every broken heart will find some light when love gives them hope. Hope is for everyone. We rise to give life to hope. Every spirit breathes with one deep need for hope. Make from justice, justice is for everyone.
set our minds to kindness and joy. Joy is for everyone. Every soul longs to know joy. Every mother child's courageous smile speaks joy, born of love. Love is for everyone. Love is for everyone. You are all ministers of this church. Every act of mercy, every kindness, every stand for social justice, every forgiveness, every word of truth spoken to power or in love. Much of ministry is a benediction, a speaking well of each other and the world, a speaking well of what we value: honesty, love, forgiveness, trust, a speaking well of our efforts, a speaking well of our dreams. This is how we celebrate life. Through speaking well of it, living the benediction, and becoming as a word well spoken. May we find we have come through the fires of the past year with the dead and dangerous undergrowth cleared away, leaving us open, room for more life, for the gold of kintsugi, for healing, for restoration, for reconciliation. Carry the flame with you and within you. Be your own advocate. Stop being so hard on yourself. But hold up. Let us hold ourselves accountable. We are responsible for ourselves, for the earth, to resonate with what reality is, the whole thing. Go in peace, go in love. Namaste. Ashe, blessed be. Amen.